Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Um, Nothing to see here, really. I am just playing with various camera settings um, to see if I can kick this into a freeze, because that seems to be the thing that it loves to do. Lee, hello, my friend. Good to see you, buddy. So yeah, I'm prepping, mate, is what I'm doing. And I'm just testing a new layout and some camera settings. Now, you're going to laugh at this, but I've literally dropped my camera in front of my display so that I can look at you lovely folk with my eyes, giving you, frontal eye massage at the same time as kind of seeing the chat and what's going on, so I can add it in there. Hey, Kev, how are you, my friend? So it's all that kind of stuff, really. I'm just testing it out. But tricks, it's lovely to see you guys jumping in. I'm literally just testing and I must stop saying I've got to practice pause and speak. So what I'm doing, see, straight off the bat, as you know, last night before Rokk and Ray, Thank you, Zero. Before Rokk and Ray, I did a little impromptu What's Up Rock, and it went down really well, and I had some lovely feedback, and I thought, I may as well do this as a show, just me chatting to you guys, you lovely fellas. Hello, Ty. So I thought I'd just try setting it up a bit and seeing how it's looking. Now, you guys can help me here. I have turned up the gain on my mic. Does it sound a little distorted? Are you getting a bit of zzz? If you are, I can turn the gain down. But I'm just checking out, really. The colours are nice, aren't they? That lovely wooden background there. Look, I'm hanging on the old shingles like a photograph. And of course, I can do this, which I love to do. So you guys, if you say anything, you will automatically appear in the chat box. There you go. Let's straight away. But the key thing is I'm looking at you, and this is such a big thing for me because I don't do it. I genuinely have the camera normally over here and a display over there, and I'm managing the display over here, so I'm not giving you eye contact. And I just think it's a level of professionalism to do that. I'm not sure about this auto move thing, by the way, guys. I might switch that off. It's kind of works, but at the same token, I can't even remember now where I turned that on. Oh, I remember, NVIDIA Broadcast. So I don't know if you guys have ever played with NVIDIA Broadcast. I would highly recommend checking it out if you haven't. I'm going to fire it up and show you, actually, for those of you that have never seen it. Now, as far as I am aware, it only works with NVIDIA graphics cards, and only, I think, from 2060 up. But let me share the screen so that you can see what that looks like. Automatically add. No, don't need to do that. Window. Here we go. No, wrong one. Here we are. Right. Cool. So if I pull that in so you can see it. There we go. So this is what NVIDIA Broadcast looks like. Now, I see a lot of you guys using XSplit and SnapCam and other things. But this is, they're babies compared to this. This is the absolute pinnacle of artificial intelligence, genuinely. So here, I've got my little CamLink 4K kicking in. And I'm also testing here to see if I can push it to freeze. Because as you guys who've been watching my shows over the last couple of weeks will be aware, the darn camera freezes after a while. I've tried different things. I've actually replaced one of my 4K monitors today and using DisplayPort rather than HDMI. I noticed when I was moving a screen between the two monitors, one of them, the 4K, was HDMI, and I've got a little 1440 Dell monitor, which is crystal sharp. But that one was using DisplayPort, and on the DisplayPort monitor, there was no lag with this image. So I thought, So I switched to my Asus 4K, and I've plugged in a DisplayPort lead. And so far, it's feeling a lot better. Anyway, look, this is in video broadcast. The key thing about this, if you guys are thinking of, well, you want to blur your background or replace it. Now, I've got this set up, as you can see here, auto frame. So I turn that off, it'll expand, and there's no movement. There's nothing going on. If I switch it on, it'll now move with me, which can be quite useful if you're a bit of a head bobber. But the stuff that I tend to use it for is things like background blur. There you go. Look at that. It's gorgeous. So what that literally does, and you've got a slider so you can move it backwards and forwards. Lee, I know, mate. I think it's to do with your graphics card. I know it's an NVIDIA, excuse me, but I think yours is a little bit too old, which is a real shame. But to be fair, if maybe for your birthday or for Christmas, you can get 2060s now relatively cheap, so you could switch it out. The reason being is they're replacing, NVIDIA are replacing all their 2 series with their 3 series. So they've dropped the price down on a 2060, which is what I'm using. And it's the entry level for NVIDIA broadcast. So yeah, the background blur is really nice, thusly. But the other one I love is, well, 2, there's background replacement. So that takes an image. In this case, they've got a standard image there, but you can choose any one you want. I've got a whole stock of them here. Look, here you go. There's my actual studio. That literally is where we are right now. So, you can, and it does a really great job without a green screen. That's the key thing here. It looks amazing without a green screen. So let's choose a different one. All I do is just download pictures. The only thing to bear in mind, if you're going to replace your background, is just because of the way our brains work, our visual brains, they do a lot of behind the scenes checking against what they see and trying to work out if it looks real or not. So look at things like where the light is falling on you versus the background. So as you can see here, it's kind of darker this side, not much because I'm actually facing a window here, but a little bit darker to this side. So if you're going to choose a background image, best to choose one with light coming in from that side, so that it's a subconscious thing, but brains pick up on stuff like that and they look at it and go, something's not right in that image. So it's just things like that. That one works quite well. That's a bit like Resident Evil 7. So you can do that. And you can also, and this is really good if you guys use OBS, you can just replace the background completely. And in OBS, it recognizes that NVIDIA broadcast has replaced the background with an alpha channel, which is a channel essentially with no color. And it will then use it like a green screen and does a great job as well. So, and when Clive and Daz and Duncan and Lee and I used to do Rockstars at Night, I used to use this feature so that I was cut out at the base of the screen, and then the other guys would use their own green screens and stuff. So it's really cool, really cool. So it's free, by the way. There's 0 cost for this. NVIDIA chuck this stuff out because they're promoting their cards at the end of the day, aren't they? So it's in their interest to do it. But yeah, NVIDIA broadcast, as you can also see, it isn't just, you can also do other stuff with your microphone and your speakers. I don't tend to use this because I'm nervous about lag and sort of overpowering the CPU. But you can have noise removal applied to the microphone, which is then the audio that you guys hear. Now, I'm in a room with, I think I've got a ticking clock up here. I'm right by the road, so potentially people could go wandering past. Tends to be quite quiet though. And I'm using an Elgato Wave, which is a really good microphone. Lee, Cloud Dad, recently got one, and they're really cool. So so essentially, you can have the microphone strip out all the sort of extraneous noise, which is really good. And I've seen demos of this with people where somebody is using a vacuum cleaner in the room or clapping, and there's no noise. It's amazing. But I don't tend to use it because there's not a massive amount of extraneous noise here. And on top of that, there's a tiny bit of lag. And speakers as well. So you can even set NVIDIA to send the audio to your headphones, stripping out any dodgy background noise as well. So pretty good stuff, particularly if you've got a loud game playing, it's getting on your wick, and you can choose different, different strengths to get rid of it. So there you go. That's NVIDIA Broadcast. I highly recommend it. It's totally free. Just Google NVIDIA Broadcast. But as I've said, the prerequisites are you have to have an NVIDIA card. I've got a feeling, yeah, and I think it's PC only, which makes sense if you think about it. There we go, I'm back again. So I use that, but I'm also nervous with NVIDIA Broadcast because I'm never quite sure if it's what's been causing the issues or some of the issues that I get. Yeah, so Disto's saying the noise removal is amazing, but it does put a stress on the GPU. Yeah, it really does. I mean, as I've said, I'm using entry level 2060, and truthfully, that really, you don't want to be pushing it very hard. This Restream, I think, is going to you guys. I'm using Restream, and I think it's coming out to you guys at 720. But you can push it up to 1080p, and that's when I've tended to find issues, because I'm essentially using a DSLR camera with an Elgato Cam Link, and there's just stuff in between everything to cause issues, and that's kind of what you don't want, really. But yeah, there's some little behind the scenes stuff for you guys. Restream's really cool. I love Restream. It's just, for me, although they don't say it's in beta, I still kind of feel it is. StreamYard is rock solid. StreamYard never falls over, but it's incredibly basic as well. It does what it does. It's simple and it does it really well. But if you want to push the envelope and do anything, I mean, it doesn't have this kind of stuff that we're seeing here. This chat down the side and what have you. Yeah, so I like Restream, and Restream obviously has other attributes like the ability to stream to multitude of different channels. I only typically do YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and it's so sad, guys. If I'm lucky, I get one person on Twitch. And I think I once had one person on Facebook, but I kind of feel like I should be doing it, because you never know, somebody might wander past it. But YouTube is my main thing. So Distos, you've got a 2070, okay, and you're still finding issues with it. Wow, mind you, 1440, yeah, 1440 at 120. I mean, that is pushing the puppy. For an easy life, I don't ever go. When I used to use OBS for Rokk and Ray, I would go out at 1440/60 from OBS, and that was actually okay. But these, the Restreams and the Melons and the StreamYards of the world, they tell you that they do everything up in the cloud, but I think there's a certain level of it happening in the browser, and browsers are memory hogs. They really are. As you guys know, I'm sure. So they're putting strain on locally, and I've done some tests, with Device Manager and what have you, and I've seen that the CPU can go up to like 90% when I'm running Restream in one tab in Microsoft Edge, where they're supposed to be doing it up on their servers, but it's not like cloud gaming where it's all happening up there and then you get a view of it. A lot of it is happening within the code of the app within the browser window, and of course, once you start adding in guests, then you're bringing their feeds down to your browser, and it's juggling and stuff. So yeah, they're not. As much as I'd love to, I find actually OBS more resilient than Restream or even StreamYard. You probably can't see it. I've got a Mac sat behind me. It's a Mac Mini, and you won't see it because I've got this blur set up. But the thing with it is it's a relatively new Mac Mini. It's maybe about 18 months old. It couldn't handle StreamYard and 4 guests. So it was a real shame. I turned the blur off. There it is. Yeah, so there you go, guys. Tell me what you think about this look. I think it's just simple but quite pretty, isn't it? What I'm planning to do is a sort of an AMA, and it won't. If you guys want to ask me questions on gaming and the games industry and Stadia and stuff, that's fine. but I'm kind of thinking about it just being a general. You may or may not know, I run a company. I've been in business for 30 plus years. It's a multi-million pound turnover business with offices in London and down here in the southwest. And we do business all over the world. We're currently waiting to hear if we won a piece of business with Mercedes. So I know stuff. I don't talk about it often when I'm streaming because you guys don't want to hear it. And quite honestly, I'm not a boastful kind of individual. I'm not an egotist. I don't need for people to think that. But there is a lot of knowledge up there, a lot of information, and a lot of you guys, have got aspirations, or you may have started businesses. I've mentored a lot of businesses over the years. It's something I love to do. And I mentor a lot of students as well at colleges, schools, and universities. I've done guest lecturing and stuff on my businesses. So AMA on any of that stuff either. I just think, and my ultimate goal, possibly for next month, is to start a new show aimed at content creators. I'm kind of calling it Creators Corner at the moment, but I haven't really thought it through. But that stuff, that thing like that NVIDIA broadcast thing just now, that would be part of that kind of a show. So I would do reviews of the big streaming apps and tips and tricks and stuff. If any of you guys have seen my very most popular video, actually, the one where I teach you how to set up chat from a free StreamYard account in OBS. That one's hugely popular. So stuff like that, news that's going on around YouTube and Twitch, but not from a pro level. I mean, crikey, I make about £15 a month in Google ad revenue, but just for you our kind of level, I've done, as anybody knows that's involved with the shows that I do, I try and push the envelope. I get my head. It's just because of what I've always done. So I try and push everything to the limits. And I feel like I've got really good experiences in all of the streaming apps that I can bring to you guys. So I've reached out to Streamlabs to allow them to get a pro account for Melon. So that will be one that I can do. I've got a top account for Restream, and I've got access to an account for StreamYard. So I can do all that stuff. We can talk about cameras and camera setups. We can talk about some of my tips about speaking, about how you should interact with people, all the kind of stuff that I've been doing, which may or may not be right, but it's lovely to share. So I'm thinking of doing that, whether it's a weekly, whether it justifies being a weekly, or whether it's a twice monthly. I haven't made my mind up yet, but if that's the kind of thing you guys would find interesting, then, let me know. But in the meantime, doing this kind of thing, where I just chat to you chaps about any old stuff, always very happy to do that. I'm quite keen on doing it with a really simple layout like this, just half an hour now and again, chewing the breeze, slapping the fat, whatever it takes. And then, of course, Rokk and Ray and Rokk's blog bash, plus Cloudburst coming back on Gaming Source Network, and no doubt some more stuff as well. But those are they're my gaming babies. And as you can see, I'm quite keen to do more creative stuff. That's the kind of field I'm in and always have been. So sharing my thoughts on creating on YouTube, etc. And anything else that, even creating thumbnails of some of the applications that I use and some of the stuff that, graphics, I've created hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of brands commercially over the decades. So sharing some of my thoughts and tips there as well. So watch this space on that one. But hopefully you've enjoyed that. I was literally just coming in to do a test. It's lovely to see so many of you. I took today off, actually. My dear old dad, who's approaching 80, asked me last week if I fancy playing golf with him. I've never played golf in my life, but I thought, any excuse to spend a couple of hours with my dear old dad, who since lockdown we haven't obviously seen each other a great deal. So I was out this morning and I've got a thumping headache because we were on a golf course by the coast and the wind was just it was really heavy wind. Quite sunny, but very windy. But for my first ever attempt at golf, I was quite proud of myself. I think my skills at crazy golf kind of paid off. Pitch and putt. I was good at the putting bit. A couple of times. I hit the ball once. and I kind of meant for it to go that way, and it veered off and went that way, and just went past this woman's head. I had to walk past to get the ball. Sorry. But that's nice. It's lovely, isn't it? Spending time with your family. Zero, golf is your passion. Wow. Well, do you know, I really enjoyed it, to be honest with you. And apart from anything else, I think we walked about 3.5 miles this morning. And it was sunshiny, and I got to talk to my dad and my uncle and actually a cousin. We all played together, and I haven't seen that cousin for 15 years, I guess. So that was really lovely. It's the really important stuff in life, you know, connecting with your family. It's chicken soup for the soul is what it is. So more of that stuff. But yeah, enjoyed it. That was good. So anyway, guys, look, do you know what? Thank you so much for popping in. Hello, Dre. How are you, my friend? Dre is moving to Spain soon, I think, as well, aren't you? And setting up a new business down in sunny España, which, you know, I absolutely applaud you for that, mate. My family, my father's let's get this right, my dad's mum's parents, they were Eastern Europeans, and they emigrated from, I think it was Lithuania, to England in 1890 something. Fun fact, they actually lived in Whitechapel in London. If you kind of know your history, Whitechapel is famous, particularly at that time, for the Jack the Ripper murders, worldwide famous history. And they were alive in that place at that time, which I find amazing and fascinating. Can only imagine what it must have been like. But big point was, I therefore have always doff my cap to anybody who makes that big leap to move from the comfort of what they know to start a new life in another country, particularly one that doesn't speak your native language. I think that's a brave thing to do, and fortune definitely does whatever it does for the brave. What does it do? It favors the brave is exactly what it does. So you're good on you, Dre. When are you moving out there? I know you're doing a video, like a video series, aren't you? It's sort of a video log. September. Cool. Okay. That's yeah, amazing. Of course, it's still really low, depending what part of Spain you go to. Hey, Ruben, how are you? My mum and dad lived in Spain actually for a few years back along. Do you know that old immigration gene never leaves you? I lived in Australia as a boy, born in England, born in a town I still live in. But then we all emigrated to Australia for a while. And then mum and dad moved out to Spain again. Once it's in your blood, I think you're there, aren't you? It's great to see you guys, though. I mean, this is amazing. I haven't promoted this. As you see, it was a test. I wasn't planning on doing anything. Cloud Gamer, yeah, Japan. My eldest wants to go out to Japan. She's studying archaeology at university at the moment, which, of course, you know, there's archaeology everywhere in the world, isn't there? But yeah, no, she really fancies that. I've never been. I've done a big chunk of the world, masses of America. I absolutely adore America for all of its goods and its bads. Every country has it, but I've always had a massive love affair with America. Australia, obviously, Hong Kong. I've been to Bahrain. I've been to all over the Med. Yeah, tons and tons. The world's just an amazing place, isn't it? And to not explore and enjoy it, I think, is a real travesty. Everybody should try and, get out and see the world if they can. It's a gorgeous place. They have Domino's and 7-Elevens today. Yeah, well, the thing about Japan, and actually it's the same over in Australia, is they have a huge... There's been quite a shift towards American culture since the 1960s. Of course, it's Britain. Britain actually has become quite American, particularly over the last, in my lifetime, but particularly over the last 20 years. And a lot of that has been since the growth of YouTube, you know, because all kids these days, you know, terrestrial TV, even satellite TV. Anyway, commercial TV is dead on its legs because no kids, including me, watch TV that gets broken up with adverts. I mean, it was always an awful thing. So they watch Netflix or Amazon Prime or YouTube. And of course, the thing with YouTube is, certainly in the early days, it was largely American streamers and American shows. So the kids have grown up with, spelling in the same ways they do in America, saying phraseology the same. I mean, things like trick or treat didn't exist when I was a kid. I mean, we knew of it. We knew it happened in America, but it wasn't a thing. It's a massive thing now in the UK. Santa, when I was growing up, everybody said Father Christmas. And actually, if you check it out, Father Christmas is a term for Saint Nick that has been used in the UK for about 600 years. So Santa, which of course, again, came across from European immigrants to America back in the late 19th century, I think, maybe even earlier than that. Because of the Americanization of Britain, now most kids that I know grow up calling the old fella Santa. Father Christmas has died as a term. It's been interesting to watch it happen in a very short space of time. And even things like if you live in the States or anywhere else and you think of London, you think of that kind of, all right, mate, how's it going accent? But that's dying off. That's literally disappearing. And I'm still going. It's practice. And that's dying off as an accent. I can't actually imitate the accent that has taken it over. But again, it's an accent brought from people coming into the country, immigrants, bringing their culture and bringing different ways to, and that's how the world is. There's no point in taking in thinking that you can, oh, it was great when I was a kid, I want to go back to that point, because whatever the world was like when we were kids, for our grandparents, it was different again. And they thought the same thing when they got to our, when we were born, they're thinking, oh, the world's so different, because it evolves, it changes, and you have to embrace the change. Hopefully it's good change. And if it isn't, then, try to make it so. Lee, the thing that I find is the way I handle these shows, by the way, is I turn my brain off. I go into neutral and I trust my subconscious brain to come out with interesting stuff. Because if you think about it, it doesn't happen. I was talking to Dave Codex about this. Hi, Dave. It's in the chat. Yesterday, you've got to switch it off. You can do it. Anybody can do it with practice. It's improv. But if you try and think about, like I did then, if you try and think about it, you pause, you analyze. I read a piece that said scientists, it's a fairly recent discovery, but they discovered over the last few years that, when you're sat at home on your own and in your head, you're hearing yourself having a conversation, aren't you? Or the weather's looking rubbish, or what's that cat doing in the garden, all that stuff. And, we've all sort of gone, oh, what is that? Is it our soul talking to us? Is it a demon? What is it? It turns out that it's the same. It uses the same part of the brain as speech. But what happens is the brain switches off the muscles that and the air expulsion that creates the noise. So you carry on talking in your head. Now, some people, and it gets filtered. So, when you do decide to verbalize it, it typically gets filtered. Not everybody has a great filter. Some people just say what comes out of their mouths and, get away with it, and some don't. But that's how it works. So all you're doing when you're talking in your head is the biological mechanics of talking, of speech, but switching off the muscles so that you don't actually, it's like imagining you're running a marathon, but your legs aren't going anywhere. It's that kind of a thing. And improv is just that. You just have to switch all that stuff off and let your mind and your mouth and your body just do its thing. That's kind of what I'm doing. So Lee says there, that's what I do when I stream. I let that part of my brain full of silliness, empty life. Yeah. Well, great. Some of the greatest comedians, some of them, I mean, people like Robin Williams were absolute geniuses at improv. And, you can watch those really good improv guys And you can throw them a story or a song, and they'll turn it into there's a great podcast actually that I listen to. I can never remember what it's called, because my memory's got really bad recently. And if you watch my shows, you'll see it. It's actually awful. I hate it. I've had a bad memory for most of my life. I can remember this is weird. I can remember the 20th century. So I can remember right up to 1999. But from 2000 until now, I've got to be prompted for something that happened in a given year for me to relate to what that year is. And I hate it. It's horrible. I don't remember the kids growing up really well. I don't remember holidays we've been on. The memories are there, but the triggers have gone. So I need my wife, or, I need to look at some photos or video, whatever, to trigger those memories. Smells are brilliant for that. It triggers the memories, and all the memories are there. And I love that. Amazing. But if I try and sit there, my memories, it's horrible. It's not senile dementia. I mean, I've been checked out. It's just whatever's happened to my triggers, thinking of Only Fools and Horses, they're just not firing. And it's horrible. I hate it. But I do remember weird facts, which is just bizarre. Krampus, Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels. So see, those films are built around the accents that existed when I was a kid, and they're still there, but they're being replaced wholeheartedly. And if you listen to, for example, national radio or national TV even, and people that are 30 or younger that live in or around London, you'll hear it's like, I think they call it Jafrakan. It's got an acronym to it, but I've forgotten what it is. But it's a different accent completely, and it's obviously quite contagious, because all the kids have this now to a degree. But the great thing about I think about the fact that we all share the same media now is that we have a kind of shared global culture. And that's got to be a good thing, I think, don't you? 32 minutes and 21 seconds of me testing a camera. Well, okay, what have we learned? We've learned, one, it hasn't frozen. That's brilliant. So I've had NVIDIA broadcast running. I've got the camera right in front of me, so I'm looking at you guys in the eye, and that's massively important. I've got the stuff going on over here with Restream, and we've got the chat, and it hasn't fallen over. I've got my Wavelink, which is the mixing desk that I use for this mic. All of these things, when I've introduced them before, I'll tell you the other thing that's killed the camera. Should I dare test this? Just bringing up a tab. If I die, thanks for coming. Right, tab, move it to other window. Haven't frozen. Let's see. Now I know actually that there is a community blog. You guys may or may not have seen that Thursday night community blog. Nothing particularly amazing, but I'll bring it up and share it with you anyway. Here we go. So yeah, two things. Farming Simulator 22 is coming to Stadia. Now, I know a lot of people would chuckle about that, but it's actually got a huge following. And to be fair, it's a great simulator. I mean, I wouldn't have minded being a farmer. I quite like the idea. And Legend of Keepers. So those two are coming up in the fall for Farming Simulator 22, and next week for Legend of Keepers, Career of a Dungeon Manager, tasking players with defending their dungeon from heroes looking for treasure. So that's all good stuff. Yep. So that's there's a little see. We're just testing. So here I am. I've got my little shared screen. The other thing about Restream that I like is I can actually place myself over the image like that, which you can't do in StreamYard. And obviously, if I get rid of the chat, you'll see the whole screen. But that's quite a sweet feature. You can also pop it down the side, and it sees it as a guest. So I can also bring the camera up like this. It's nice. It's nice. I would use it more if I felt it was more stable, but it has let me down, sadly. It's usually on an important show like Rokk and Ray or Rokk's Blog Bash that the whole thing just falls to poop. So But one day I'll have the courage to use it more, because I still think it has the biggest potential of all the stream. I don't know if you guys knew this, by the way, but StreamYard sold to a company last month or month before for $250 million. Those two guys, $250 million. And between you and me, there's not a huge amount of work developing a system like this. And I've looked into doing it through my business, but I can't get anybody as excited about it as me, so I've let it go. I'd love to do a system like this. But yeah, 250 million. And I know that these guys raised 50 million, I think, last year, $50 million for development. There's big money in this. Of course, more so when everybody was sat at home doing nothing and using video camera tech and so on. But anyway, Farming Simulator 22, I mean, there's no word of, you may or may not remember if you've been with Stadia for a while, but it was one of the first pro games that we got, Farming Simulator 21, I guess, 20. So I don't know whether this is going to be, it's highly doubtful, because I should imagine that was quite an expensive license to pay. But Farming Simulator 22 from Giants is massively successful, can't knock it. And Legend of Keepers coming up next week, which I guess, I don't know what it is. I've never seen it. I don't even know much. I'll have to do some research for next week's show. So there you go, guys. Hope you've enjoyed that. I hope you've enjoyed it. As I say, I'm planning on doing this kind of a thing, just, half an hour, chewing the breeze, not even necessarily about gaming. In some ways, it'd be really nice to talk about other stuff, like how the brain interprets and what have you. Judgment Tomorrow, that's right, Lee. Although weirdly spelt without that E in. You were correct. Yours is the correct spelling, but I don't know whether it's an American spelling without the. I don't think it is, because I've seen some American guys typing Judgment and putting that extra E in there. So yeah, it's just a brand thing, isn't it? Good. There you go. Thanks ever so much for joining me. And as I said, if you like this format, then I will happily do this. It's nice and refreshing for me, because there's no prep involved. Yesterday's show, I spent 4 hours putting together, rebuilding it in StreamYard and stuff. So it's really nice to just jump into a stream like this. And let me get rid of the screen. There we go. It's just really lovely to pop in and talk to you guys about anything you want to talk about. So have a great rest of your evening. I hope I haven't trampled on anybody's show. That's the other good thing about this time of the day, of course, because most of them come a little later. Oh, Google responded. Yes, there you go, Lee. I know it's one of the things I really, really regret is having to change my name. As you know, I did from Stadia Rocks to Rokk Show, but I was told to do it on. Well, I wasn't told. I was encouraged to do it on the founders forum, and lo and behold, same day that I did, they responded for the first time in months to a direct tweet. So I know that I don't think they've got us muted. I think it's an automated thing. I think if there's they've just got some rules and filters set up. And the minute that the filter goes, you're in. So Google never responded to any of my tweets and my name. Yeah, depends what you're asking them as well, Eli, I guess. I mean, were you being a bit salty with them? Because it's going to be content related as well. I think if you ask them very politely, then you may. Oh, Anthony, mate, I am so sorry. Genuinely, I am. I hope mate, I'll let you go, because look, the last thing I want to do is trample on people's feet, particularly the legend, and now your mama knows, all-purpose champ. So I'm going to let you guys go. And look, he's got a red face, but he's laughing. He does laugh. Yo, Andy, you've just missed it, mate. But thank you so much for popping in. I am going to love you and leave you, as we used to say when I was a small boy. Let me know, tweet me, DM me. What do you think of this? Do you like the idea? Could you sit and listen to me waffle on for half an hour with nary a break, particularly responding to you guys? I love the setup. I love the fact that I'm seeing what you're saying really quickly. Andy, mate, you're contrarian. You'd say no. If I offered you 500 quid, you'd say no just because you. It's how you go. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. And the other thing, Dave, relating to what Dave said to me about, if I ever want to do a kind of chat thing that he would love to jump in. One of the thoughts I've had is if I do this as a kind of a weekly thing, is I will put out a guest link, probably on my Discord. So if anybody wants to jump in and be part of the show, and we get, and it's like a you know what I mean, like an open house. Pop in, say hi, 10 minutes, have a chat about some stuff, get the hell out. As long as you don't abuse it, come on to promote your show and get out. I'm likely to ban you. But if you just come in and want to have a chat and have a laugh, that's great fun. I used to love doing that with Brandon on Brandon's show. So we'll do that. I'll choose a time that an early time seems to work quite well. I think either it's got to be early or late, but I'll choose a time around 5-ish, because I think, or 5 or 6 is like your lunchtime, guys, in the States. So I'll choose a time that isn't crashing any of the SBCN guys, because I'm quite keen not to do that. And we'll do a What's Up Rokk, or whatever we call it, an AMA thing. Right, I'm going to let you go. I've said it 4 times now. Thank you so much, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Thank you for coming. It really does mean a huge amount to me. And I've been Rokk. You've been amazing. Well, that was slick. I'm trying to find the end stream button. Oh, there it is. And I will see you all, if not before, next Tuesday. Take